Imagine standing in a room with a masterpiece that costs millions of dollars. You look at it and think, it's just a few lines, it's just a piece of wood, I could do that. But here is the secret the art world doesn't want you to know. The value isn't in what the artist put on the canvas. It's in what they had the courage to leave out. Most people spend their lives trying to fill the silence. They overdecorate, they overcomplicate, and they shout to be heard. But the masters, they speak a different language. They know that a single, intentional curve can carry more weight than 1,000 ornaments. They know that a scar in the wood isn't a mistake, it's a heartbeat. Today, on Hope Tube, we are going beyond the surface. We are decoding the secret language of the masters to reveal how professional artists turn raw emotion into high-end luxury art. Whether you hold a brush or a chisel, it's time to stop making things and start creating presences. Are you ready to see what's hidden in the chaos? Let's begin. To create a truly immersive 20-minute experience for your Hope Tube audience, the narration must feel like a continuous, flowing river of wisdom. For a professional AI voiceover, a script of this length, roughly 3,000 words for part 1, requires a rhythmic, meditative pace. Below is the full, text-only narrative for part 1, written to be read slowly and soulfully. The Secret Language of Masters, Decoding Abstract Art Part 1. The journey into the heart of abstract art does not begin with a brushstroke or a chisel hit, but with a profound shift in how we perceive the world around us. When you stand before a masterpiece of abstraction, your first instinct might be to look for a recognizable shape, a face, a tree, a horizon. But the secret language of the masters asks you to abandon the safety of the known and step into the electricity of the felt. To decode this language, we must first understand that abstraction is not the absence of reality, but the extraction of it. It is the process of stripping away the distracting skin of the world to reveal the pulsing nerves and bones of human emotion underneath. Think of the great masters like Mark Rothko or Jackson Pollock. They were not merely playing with pigment, they were architects of atmosphere. They understood that a specific shade of deep, bruised crimson could bypass the logical brain and strike directly at the heart's capacity for grief or passion. This is the first great secret. The master artist does not paint a sunset. They paint the feeling of awe that a sunset leaves behind. As a creator, your canvas, whether it is a piece of linen or a block of reclaimed cedar, is a sacred space where the physical meets the metaphysical. The foundation of this secret language is built upon the concept of intentional restraint, a strategy that separates the amateur from the master. An amateur feels the need to fill every corner of the frame, fearing that empty space is a sign of emptiness in thought. But the master knows that silence is where the music lives. Consider the minimalist discipline of the greats. They understood that by limiting their palette to perhaps only 3 tones or 2 textures, they were actually expanding the power of their message. When you reduce the variables, every choice you do make becomes monumental. If you are working with a piece of wood and you choose to leave a vast area untouched, allowing only the natural grain to speak against one single, sharp, hand-carved line, you are using the secret of negative space to create tension. This tension is what makes a piece of art feel expensive or high-end. It suggests a confidence that does not need to shout to be heard. It is the visual equivalent of a whisper in a crowded room. Everyone leans in to hear it. This restraint requires a massive amount of internal work because it forces the artist to confront their own insecurities. You must trust that your vision is strong enough to stand on its own without the crutches of overdecoration. Beyond restraint lies the secret of layering, a technique that gives abstract art its characteristic weight. Masters like Gerhard Richter or even the late Turner understood that the human eye can sense what is buried. They would spend days, even weeks, building up surfaces only to scrape them back, sand them down, or veil them with thin glazes of transparency. This creates a history of the surface. When a viewer looks at a piece of art that has been layered and refined, they aren't just seeing a final image. They are subconsciously perceiving the time and the struggle that went into it. This is why a digital print of an abstract work rarely feels as powerful as the original. The original possesses a physical depth, a topography of effort. In your woodworking, this translates to the ritual of the finish, the way you might stain, then sand, then oil, then wax. Each layer adds a ghost of a previous moment, a shadow of a previous thought. This depth is what creates soul in an object. 01/04/2026-60-27 Eskinder. It makes the viewer feel as though the art is not just a thing, but a living record of a transformation. It is the difference between a house and a home, between a product and a masterpiece. To truly speak the language of the masters, one must also master the psychology of the line. In the world of abstraction, a line is never just a mark. It is a direction for the soul to follow. A horizontal line speaks of the horizon, of peace, of sleep, and of the earth. A vertical line speaks of growth, of spirituality, of standing tall against gravity. A diagonal line is a scream. It is movement, it is falling, it is energy that cannot be contained. The masters used these psychological cues to guide the viewer's heart through the composition. If you want your art to feel like a sanctuary, you lean into the horizontals and the soft, sweeping curves. If you want it to feel like a breakthrough, you use sharp, ascending angles. This is the secret of visual rhythm. By repeating certain shapes or textures at intervals, you create a heartbeat for the piece. The viewer begins to breathe in sync with the work. This is the ultimate goal of the abstract master, to move the viewer from the role of an observer to the role of a participant. You are not showing them a picture, you are inviting them into a state of being. As we conclude this first part of our decoding, we must recognize that the most guarded secret of all is that the artist is a medium, not a dictator. The masters did not force the paint to obey, they collaborated with it. They allowed the happy accident, the drip of paint, the unexpected knot in the wood, the way the light hits a particular texture, to change the course of the work. They had the humility to realize that the material often knows more than the mind. This is the divine dialogue between the creator and the creation. It is about being present enough to notice when the art is trying to tell you something. When you stop fighting the material and start listening to it, the secret language becomes your mother tongue. You begin to realize that every crack in the wood is a sentence, and every stroke of the sander is a punctuation mark.